And welcome to the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. We're looking at magnetohydrodynamic pressure here. It is the geospace magnetosphere movie for the past 4 hours. We'll let that play through all the way. And if you want to know what this was doing around this time of day 2 years ago, we made a video about that as well. So, doing over 4 years here, only missing about 3 days in that entire period of time, putting up some kind of an archival record of what was going on in the geospace magnetosphere movies. We're sure the data is accessible to somebody, but in any case, that's 4 hours of it. Now this one is accessible all the time. This is part of the National Sunspot Observatory data, and it's showing you the polarity of heliospheric plasma. Earth is in a South Pole-oriented current sheet, as you can see here in red. Bring up the latest image. Looks like we'll remain solidly in a South Pole current sheet for the moment. We saw some big changes happen in the GOES magnetometers here with the arrival of at least one pulse of a coronal mass ejection right around midnight. And you can see the way that suddenly affects the magnetometers. It's because of solar plasma doing things like being heated up and oriented to magnetic field lines and affecting the readings from the GOES 16 and 17. Here's a line of sight plot. Three large sunspot groups on the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. Here's a coronal hole plot showing us the magnetic field reversal process occurring throughout solar cycle 25. Some rather well-defined South Pole-oriented coronal holes here rotating into the earthly zone, sending some protons in our general direction. So here's a great view of that in 193 angstroms from the SDO. Little close-up of the equatorial region there, and that is all South Pole oriented there. That's a trans-equatorial coronal hole, the most geo-effective type. And we can expect some protons arriving in a few days from that. Let us know in the comments what you think the solar wind speed will get up to. I'll say 550 kilometers per second. Next, looking at sunspot groups. Likelihood of large flares is certainly still there, and we did see some activity indeed. Nothing in the M-class range, though. We'll get to it. First, some more imagery. So sunspot 2936 remains stable here. Sunspot 2939 produced at least one flare event. We've got a close-up of that for you. And 2940, still quite complex, still perfectly capable of producing serious solar flares, radio blackouts, etc. So here's 2940. Great imagery there. We brought up 1600 and 1700 angstroms. That includes ionized carbon. Here's 2939, which produced a lightning bolt-like flare right out of the center of it. Just spectacular imagery there. That is one for the record books. And here's 2936. This certainly produced a coronal mass ejection that's actually occurring now. And we'll show you the beginnings of that here. Doesn't look like an earthly directed one. One of the best wavelengths, of course, to view solar flares is 94 angstroms. It's like a giant straight line there on that flare. It was accompanied by a radio burst or two, or several, probably. So lots of stuff going on. There's the zoomed out view in 1600 and 1700 angstroms. Fantabulous. So no M-class flares, but several large C-class flares here over the past 24 hours. Namely 4 large C-class, nearly M-class flares there. So an uptick in the, well, here you go. There's the last 7 days, and you can see that uptick there in the flaring. We normally show the 3-day chart. No relativistic particles showing up yet at Earth from it. And we'll go to the real-time solar wind to show this dud of a coronal mass ejection strike. The first impulse, at least, was pretty weak here. We only saw a density increase. Oh, we saw a density increase happening here as a coronal hole wind stream arrives, it looks like. Because now we have this long signal. So another coronal hole wind stream mixing things up here. We saw a strong positive BZ component right after that CME struck. So that did not help to create high geomagnetic conditions on Earth. In any case, current conditions are 447 kilometers a second. 8.3 protons per cubic centimeter is the density. Make it 8.7 protons per cubic centimeter is the density. So there you go. The KP index only got up to KP4, geomagnetic unrest conditions. NOAA is expecting a second pulse. Here's where stuff's located in the solar system. We'll give you a 7-day forecast. There's where things will be in a week. We'll be in a gibbous waxing moon on the 9th. Here's a star chart we've drawn in the ecliptic, which is the yellow line. The yellow line is the sun's path across the sky. The blue line is the galactic plane. And you may see Mars and Venus and Mercury. It's an exciting morning sky at the moment with several planets out there. So there is a CME kicking off now. We don't expect it to be earthly directed. Here's the view from stereo A here on your left. Looks like it's definitely south of Earth. And the LASCO C2 showing us it'll also be to the west. So it's a miss to the southwest according to the SOHO LASCO C2. And stereo A. And that's a lot of stuff shoved into one video, so we hope you enjoyed it. One more space weather video coming today as I sign off once again from the Smash News Network, least busted name in news.